Hello everyone, my name is Shubhabrata Naik and today we are going to discuss one of the poem from one's plus two first year CHSC Odisha's uh, English syllabus and the name of the poem is Stopping by Woods on a Snow Evening, which is written by Robert Lee Frost. This is a very beautiful poem and it is going to be explained in English to English. So if you find out this poem interesting, so please subscribe to my channel and share it. And if you find out any kind of a query or doubts, at the end of the slide, you will find out means, my contact number as well as my WhatsApp details as well as my email ID. So you can share your doubt or query um, through through my email ID, or you can share it through WhatsApp. Well, let's begin the topic. Stopping by Woods on a Snow Evening. So, stopping by Woods on a Snow Evening title itself is indicating that how the poet presents this particular topic or writes writes this topic indicating about the nature. Not only it indicates about the nature, but also it indicates about the human activity. So the title suggests that how the speaker stops uh, somewhere means in the jungle, right, to enjoy the snow evening or snow evening. So and what happens him to what happens him to means that he doesn't or he cannot means enjoy the evening. So that's what is the title itself suggests. So let's go to the means information pertinent to the author or the poet. So the the poem "Stopping by Woods on a Snow Evening" is written by Robert Lee Frost, and Robert Lee Frost means writes this particular poem in one sitting. So he he wrote this particular poem in the year of 1922, right? And it was published in the year of 1923. This is the one of the best poem which is means admired by all. You can talk about means that the poet Robert Lee Frost is an American poet, and he is one of the favorite of the US President John F. Kennedy because of his writing, because of his poems. So this is not only the poem which is liked by means all the means all the famous figure, but also if you look into means our country India, so in which the first Prime Minister of India Jawaharlal Nehru, right, or late Jawaharlal Nehru, means who also liked this poem very much. Even in his deathbed, so he puts the book at the side of his bed, and on the first page of that book, the part of the line is written. So the last part of the means a poem is written that miles to go before I sleep and miles to go before I sleep. So which has been underlined, and this clearly suggests that how Jawaharlal Nehru means liked this poem very much. This is the kind of a poem which clearly indicates the duty and responsibilities of the human being towards the society, towards the near and dear, towards the family. So, based on this, the poem has been made. Okay, let's look at the poet's introduction. So, Robert Lee Frost was born in the year of 1874 and he died in the year of 1963. He is one of the most popular and critically means acclaimed, renowned poet, American poets. He is highly regarded or respected for his means realistic presentation, realistic presentation of rural life, slum life, and his command over the American language is remarkable. His poetry reveals or opens a man's huge interest in the varieties of beauty of nature and apparently or clearly small but deeply meaningful joys and sorrows of ordinary men and women. So the poet is famous for his writing and also means he is also rewarded for that. If you look into the means warm up, so what do we find out? Like I have already pointed, Jawaharlal Nehru, who is also admiring this particular poem, he is a great favorite, right? So this poem is nothing but a great favorite of Jawaharlal Nehru. Why? Now, because it indicates or it reminded, right, uh, reminded of his responsibilities, of his duties. On the surface, this is a very simple poem. So the poem speaks nothing but what the it tells about the speaker who stops his horse by some woods on a snowy evening to enjoy the nature, to see the beauty of the nature, right? So he finds out the place is beautiful, complete silence, and that makes him or that forces him, that compels him to stay longer in that place. But due to the duty and obligation, or due to the force of duty and obligation, so he feels that what he feels that means he needs to reach his destination. He feels that he has to travel, right, before he can take rest there, before he takes, before he enjoys the place. So that's what is nothing but the poem is all about. But if you go to the deeper level of this poem, so we can find out the poet tries to say that the journey that the speaker, right, means goes through the woods is nothing but a suggestive of journey through the life itself. The speaker stops for a brief time to enjoy, meditate, and realizes that he needs to continue his journey. He cannot enjoy the beauty of the nature. He cannot take rest there. He feels that what his duty comes first. So he needs to reach the farmhouse before he takes rest there. That is the reason the famous phrase he wrote at the end of the poem that and miles to go before I sleep and miles to go before I sleep. This not only refers to the physical distance of the trip but also the long life ahead of him. In our life, we find out means a certain space where we feel like we need to take rest, but at the same time, we have lots of duties and responsibilities for our family, for our near and dear, and for the society, right? So, despite having these are the things, if we take rest, then we are going out of our duties and means responsibilities. But some are there. So who believe that jobs, duties, and responsibilities come first, and that's why they do not take rest. So that's what the poem means tries to give the message. So let's read the poem and feel how inspiring it is. So obviously, let me point out before I go through this poem, right, that this poem presents lot of figure of speech and literary devices that we will discuss, and after means briefly explained it, right, after at the end of the poem, right. So uh, but first we need to know that the whole poem, and means we will explain line by line what this poem is all about. So the text says about the first stanza. So let me point out there are four stanzas, and this poem is written in the form of means Rubaiyat method, and uh, the kind of means content which is written here in the form of iambic tetrameter. So the first stanza where it is stated, so which is stated that whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though he will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. So we can find out the speaker here thinks that, right? So you can assume that what the speaker is going to his farmhouse. While he is going to his farmhouse, means he is passing through passing through means a jungle, right? So or you can say that he is passing through some woods. So by looking at the woods and means the surrounding, so he stops there and he thinks that what whose woods these are, I think I know. So the poet thinks that what this property belongs to means one of the person, and that person, right, might be living nearby villages, right, and he is not sure, but he is saying that he might know that person. So that's why he stated that whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. So the poet says that the beauty of the nature and the darkness, right, that makes the or that compels the poet to stop there and see the beauty and take rest there for some time. And that is the region the poet is saying if he stops there, if he means trespasses, so the owner of this jungle might not see him, might not stop him, right? So that is the region, right? Means he wants to take rest. So in the second stanza, the poet says, my little horse must think it queer. So obviously the poet who stops in the middle of the jungle, right? So means and enjoys the nature and takes rest for some time. So at the same time means the poet's little hers. So here little is indicating nothing but humble and ordinary hers. So who thinks it queer? Queer means strange. Why the little hers think it queer? Now, because the poet supposed to stop at farmhouse. Instead of stopping at farmhouse, the poet stops in the mid of the jungle between the wood and frozen lake. So, which is seeming to it awkward, and that's the reason means the little hers think it strange. Whether means the poet finds any means wrong or called as a finds anything means odd, so that's why he stops here. So that's what the little horse must think. So means the poet supposed to stop at farmhouse, and instead of going to the farmhouse, he stops in the means the middle of the jungle, in between the jungle and the frozen lake. Let me point out means when I say that woods is referring to the jungle, right? In a means in a number of means trees and means spread in a particular area. So, and frozen lake is called as the lake water, which is full of cold and chilled. So, and it is the darkest evening of the year. So, the whole place is full of dark. So means the little horse finds out it's nothing but a strange. So he gives his harness bells a shake. So to ask the speaker, right? So the horse here means shakes his harness bells. So what do you mean by harness bells? When you say that harness is called as a leather belt, which is means uh, which is uh, holding by the means horse, or which is binding around his neck, right? So and in the mid of it there is a bell which is hung, and when the horse shakes his head or shakes his head, so at the same time that the bell makes the sound, right? And through that means the horse asks the question to the poet, that what, any mistake occurs, anything wrong happened, any awkward situation arise, or any odd things occur. So this is the question the horse wants to ask the poet, because the horse finds out it's strange why the poet means doesn't stop in you can say that farmhouse, and why does the poet stops here. That's why the horse asks the question, right? Anything awkward situation or arouse, right? So or any odd things occur. So the poet says that the only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. So the poet could hear the sound of the harness bells. Beside that, the poet also hears the sound of the what? Means the sound of the wind. The poet hears the sound of easy flowing wind, and the poet also hears the sound of nothing but the means falling snow, right? So though the means image of the nature seems gloomy, yet the poet could hear the sounds like a harness bell sound, flow of the wind, and also falling of the snow or falling snow, right? So the poet here wants to convey that the woods are lovely, dark, and deep. So the poet states that what, the man who possesses this means a beautiful woods, who is not here, understand the nature's beauty, and the hearse, right, who is nothing but a subhuman, right, who doesn't or who might not understand the beauty of nature. He is the only one who gets the pleasure out of this nature. That is why he pointed, the woods are lovely, dark, and deep. So, and it allows him to stay for some time, enjoy the nature, and take rest there. But means there is a kind of a contradiction we find out here. The speaker says that he has promises to keep, though the woods are lovely, dark, and deep, but he has promises to keep. So we can find out the poet is only the poet is in a means euphony situation, or called as a pleasant situation, or in a means you can say that what, in a pleasure situation. The poet finds the beauty and enjoys the nature, and he wants to take rest there. But the poet means finds out certain prohibition, so that what, now he has promises to keep and miles to go before I sleep. So he thinks about his destination, he thinks about his responsibilities, he thinks about his duty that do not allow him to take rest and enjoys the nature. So he finds out that the distance he needs to achieve before he takes rest there at the woods. So we can find out the word called as a miles and the word called as a sleep, which is nothing but a metaphorical term. So here the first sorry, the third line of the last stanza is stating about miles, indicating to the distance that the poet supposed to achieve before he takes rest. So sleep is indicating as that taking rest. But if you look into the fourth line, which is also repetition and stating that, and miles to go before I sleep. So in this line, the poet is stating that the miles is metaphorical term of life's journey, right? So before I go to deathbed. So through these two lines, the poet is trying to send the message that what in human beings' life or in the society, right, means we have lots of responsibilities and duties towards our society, towards our near and dear, towards our family. And those duties and responsibilities should be done first, right, before we go to deathbed. Because that is the reason the God had sent us to this earth. This has been beautifully noted, right? And this is the deeper meaning of this poem. So the poem shows its a simplicity, but at the same time, the poem also presents the deeper meaning of it. I hope you understand the the explanation of this poem. Now let's go to the some of the figure of speech and literary devices given in this poem. Now, if you look into the poem, so the poem consists of four stanza, and each stanza consists of four lines. That is the reason we consider it's a quatrain. Quatrain means four stanza poems. And as it consists of four stanzas and each stanza consists of four lines, the rhyming scheme of the poem is A, yeah. So A, like no, though, here, snow. So A. Similar to that, we also say that B, C, A. We also find out D. We also, but at the end of the poem we can find out that it should be means F. So in that case, if you look into it, I have taken into means one particular term like AABA, and then after I said that AABA, and also said that AABA, and after that I pointed AAAA. So which is nothing but means indication of what the rhyming scheme. So we can say means no, though, here's no, where, near, lake, here. You can say that the rhyming means the rhyming which is coming out from each last word of means line, right? Or means you can find out each word of the last means each word of the line, right? Or you can say that the last word of each line, which is also rhyming with the next line's last word, and that makes nothing but the rhyming. Like you can say shake, mistake, sweep, flake, deep, keep, slip, slip. So this is completely rhyming. So that's why it's called as a. Now, beside that, also we also find out other figure of speech or other literary devices, like you can say woods, house, village, snow. So which have written in a black letter. So why? Because these woods, house, village, snow are clearly reflecting the images or imagery. So what do you mean by imagery? Imagery means indicating the natural images present in the poem. So we can find out woods, house, village, snow are the natural images, right, which have been given in the poem. That is why they are called as imagery. We also find out some of the other figure of speech that's called as assonance. What is that assonance? Now, assonance is called as a repetition of the vowel sounds. Like you can see that all these red letter which have been used in the third line of the first stanza. And also you can see that means uh, first line of the third stanza, where it is given I, A, E, E, A, E. So these are called as a vowel letters which have been repeated. So that's why we consider it's an assonance, right? So similar to that, we also find out means alliteration and consonance. So alliteration and consonance means what? Now when the consonant letter is repeated, like you can find out here it is given watch woods, watch woods. We also find out means you can say that the, these are I think. So th the and th the. So these and think. That's also called as a alliteration and consonance, right? So what do we find out here? We find out the first one is called as a four stanza poem, quatrain. Second is called as a rhyming scheme, which is called as a AABA. So, and third is called as a imagery, natural images like woods, house, village, snow. Fourth one is called as we find out assonance, repetition of vowel, consonance, repetition of the consonant sound, and also alliteration. That's called as a repetition of consonant sound. So we say alliteration and consonants both are called as a repetition of consonants. Next is called as a uh, personification. So what is that personification? Now, when any of the human's quality is compared with means inanimate object or animals, so that's what is called as a personification. If you look into the means third stanza, first line, where the hearse is compared, the quality of the hearse, right, means is compared with the quality of the human being, or you can say that the quality of human being is compared with the quality of the hearse. So that's why means the hearse is pronounced as he, right? His, he, his. So that's why we can say that means the hearse has been personified, right? So in that case, you can say it's a personification, right? So at the end of the poem, last stanza, where two of the lines are repeated, so which is also called as a repetition. When sentences or lines have been repeated twice, so or called as a many times, so you can say it is a repetition. Next is called as the poet also used the literary devices called as a euphony. Now, what is that euphony? If you look into the last stanza first line, where it is stated, the woods are lovely, dark and deep, it indicates that only the poet finds out the happiness and pleasant, right? Only the poet, because the hearse is a subhuman and no other people are there, right? So even the owner is absent. So that is why means the poet enjoys the beauty of the nature. That's why he pointed, woods are lovely, dark and deep. It clearly reflecting the euphony and the pleasant situation, right? The last one is called as a metaphor. So what is metaphor? Now when things have been directly compared with another, or when the noun or adjective is directly compared with the another noun or adjective. Like here you will find out miles. If you look into the last two lines in the means earlier line, miles to go before I sleep. So here miles is referring to the distance, which is the actual meaning. So, and sleep is referring to the rest, which is actual meaning. But if you look into the last line where it is stated, miles to go before I sleep. So here miles is referring to the life's journey. So the poet means stating the idea here that what means passing through the jungle, right, or passing through the woods is clearly indicating that what now a trip to means life's journey, a trip to life's journey, and not taking rest is called as a means not go, before going to the deathbed, right? So it is clearly indicating that the metaphorically comparison is done here, right? So that's what the charm and the beauty of this poem. So that's what is called as a deeper meaning. So though the poem is very simple, where the speaker speaks about nothing but the beauty of the jungle while he is going towards his farmhouse, he stops there, he enjoys the beauty, and he thinks to take rest there, and his stopping there means cannot be visible to the farmhouse owner, right? But at the same time, he age means uh, he cannot take rest there, and he has to means resume his means travel, right? Because of its responsibilities and duties, right? Which he thinks that comes first, right? That's the reason this poem reflects the society and the nature, right? So this is the beauty of the poem. Hope you all understand this poem. So that's what I pointed at the end of the poem, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleeps. So as a reader, hope you means understand the deeper meaning of it. It says that what we all come to this world, right, for a particular purpose, and we need to do that or fulfill that purpose. We need to complete our duties and responsibilities before we go to deathbed. So we should not stop, right? We should means do our duty. So that's all. So again, I would like to say that if you really like this poem and you really like the explanation, please subscribe to my video, and please share it. Thank you. That's all.